How's everybody doing tonight? It's finally here. We're gonna do our live PJ paint party, and I'm gonna tell you all about Tribe. And for those of you that are new, that is my painting membership, and it's finally open. So we're gonna talk about all of that tonight, and you get to learn how to paint wildflowers. So I am going to pull you guys up. So let me know when you're on. Say hi, let me know where you're watching from. Hopefully my comments are showing up. So are you guys all ready to paint tonight? Did you get your supplies, or are you watching first and then you're gonna go back and do it later? I'm in my PJs, I got my water, I got my wine. We're gonna have a fun little party tonight. So if you are a Tribe sister, comment hashtag Tribe sister in the comments. And ladies, while you're watching, if you see these comments come up, feel free to ask these girls any questions, because they are inside my membership, and so they're going to be able to help answer questions if I miss them as comments come across the screen. I may not catch every single one, but I'm going to try my best. So this is what we're painting tonight. It always looks so small when I'm on the screen. This is a 16 by 20, but this is a complete abstract, so it can literally be done on anything. 11 by 14, 8 by 10, 18 by 18 if you want to. So, got my paper towels ready. How many of you watching, if you will let me know, if this is your first time painting, or if you've painted maybe once or twice before. Some of you did my spring trek challenge with me, so let me know your experience in the comments too, or if you're just excited and you just want to learn how to paint and you've never done it before. All right, so I've got my water. I'm only doing 2 brushes for this painting, so I've got a large flat, either a 1 inch or a 3/4 inch is fine, and then I've got a round. And you'll hear me say this a lot. I think this one is a number 2, but it's completely dependent on the brand, on what size these bristles are, because every brand is a little different. So you just want a round that has enough of the, enough bristles, thick enough bristles, that it can hold the paint for you. So you don't want one that's tiny, tiny little skinny, because it's not going to hold much paint to help you when we start doing the flowers. I'm going to grab my paints. Now listen, you guys, I did give you a supply list if you signed up for that email. You do not have to use those exact colors. So that is always just a reference guide for you. This is your painting. I want it to be your style, your colors. You could make this any colors you want it to, and it's still going to be gorgeous. So for my background, I'm going to set this down while I'm talking to you guys so you can kind of see the colors here. For my background, I chose turquoise, and this one's called Citron. These are from Craftsmart, but like I said, you can use any brand. If you're brand new and you don't even know what kind of paint to use, we're just using craft paint. So you can get craft paint at Michael's, Hobby Lobby, Walmart. They all have their own brand. They all carry different brands. I use all of them, okay? So simple, inexpensive painting supplies. So I'm just going to get a little bit of both of these colors on here. This is like, you can see that color pretty good in that light, like a lime. It's called Citron, but it's like a limey, yellowy green here. So if you see Tiffany Clements, she is my community manager, and she's also going to be answering questions for you guys as well. So Tribe sisters, Tiffany, they're all going to be there to help answer questions if I miss them as you guys are going across the screen. All right, so I am getting a fair amount of these 2 colors to start with, because it's pretty much going to cover my entire canvas. And I am actually going to show you. You can do this with the large flat like I was talking about. But if you followed me at all for any amount of time, you know that I love a palette knife. So I'm going to show you both ways you can do this background. They're going to be very similar but slightly different. So we're going to do some scrapes with the palette knife that's just going to add some texture to the background that you can't get with a paintbrush. So I'm going to show you both styles. Maybe I'll split the canvas in half and show you one versus the other, and then finish it out so you can decide which one you like better. You can get, Tiffany should have the link for this if you guys are curious about supplies. I'll have her post my Amazon link below, and you can get a five pack of palette knives in there. They're my favorites. That's what I have. But when I teach paint classes, I use these cheap little plastic ones. Again, you can get these anywhere. So it doesn't matter. You can get either kind. So this is going to be really, really simple. And I love this because if you're brand new, you've never painted before, this is a really, really good one to get started with because there's really no right or wrong. This is kind of abstract wildflowers. And like I said, the background is all going to be this same thing that we're doing. So super simple to get started with. First thing I'm going to do is load my brush up with a ton of blue paint. So I'm going to hold that up for you guys to see. Because if you are new to painting, you probably are not going to get enough paint in your brush, and that's the number one problem that people have when they start painting, and it doesn't look the way they thought it was going to look in their head. It's usually because they don't have enough paint. So a lot of people, and again, I've been, for those of you that don't know, I have been teaching painting for the last 6 years through local paint nights, and I've been teaching it online for the last 2 years. So when I'm teaching my local paint nights, you know, I give these instructions at the beginning, and I tell people to load their brushes up. But here's what I see when I go around. Can you see that? I know it's already blue, but it's just like the paint is just on the very tip, and then they start doing it, and they're like, Christy, why doesn't mine look like yours? This is why, because you really want a lot of paint on there. So when you're looking at this, we want it, see how many brush strokes I can get with that? And we're going to go horizontal and vertical, just up and down. So this is the same technique we're going to use for this entire background. But if they don't have enough paint, they start doing this, and then immediately it's already just looks, I'd like to say like it looks pixelated, because it's picking up the texture of the canvas and it's not giving them a lot of coverage. Marcia said you don't wet your canvas first. No, I do not. And these are already primed. You don't have to prime them. You don't have to buy expensive canvases. These are just the like value packs from Hobby Lobby or Michael's is the best deal. Hobby Lobby has 5-pack of 16 by 20s for $10.99. So that is a really, really good deal. And you don't need anything more expensive or fancy than that unless you just want to. Like once you really, you know, get your painting down and maybe you want to do like a thicker edge canvas, more gallery style, you can do that. But to just get started with painting, you don't need to have expensive canvases. Sorry, do you ever use magic white? Sharon, I have not heard of that. I do not know what magic white is. Okay, so I'm going to keep on loading up my turquoise, and then I'm going to start grabbing some of that citron color. So I have both colors on my brush now, and I want you to see what's going to start happening. We're going to get this like mixture where a little bit of that citron and that turquoise mixed together. I love the way they look when they start mixing. And we don't want to keep, like you'll notice that I'm going to jump around from section to section, because if I just kept going over the same spot and just kept blending, it would just turn into a solid color. And I want there to be texture, and I want there to be brush strokes visible when I'm doing this. So I'm just going back and forth, just making sure the canvas is covered and you don't see any white parts of the canvas peeking through. So how many of you have heard me talk about the Inner Tribe yet? This is my painting membership, so I'm going to explain it for everyone as if you don't know what it is. I have had this membership. We're almost 2 years old, and basically what this is I do Facebook Lives with you guys. I have a free Facebook group. You can follow me on YouTube, and you are going to learn lots of techniques and tricks and little mini paintings that I do with you guys. But inside the Inner Tribe are full paintings from start to finish that come from my collection, and then new ones that I continue to make. So you can see some of them behind me. So inside the Inner Tribe, your monthly content, there's 2 different parts to it. Your monthly content, you get 3 brand new paintings with me each month. And then we also have a guest artist or speaker. So we have someone who does glass art, Miss Cindy Manley. If you guys know her, she's one of my friends. Miss Casey Hope was on here just a second ago, and she teaches hand lettering. Brooke from Refabbed is our guest artist this month, and I'm so excited because she is going to teach the ladies this week. So if you join, you'll automatically get this week inside the group, and she's going to teach the ladies how to build a little 3D gnome that you can put with your decor. So that just kind of gives you an example of some of those. And then we also have sometimes business speakers come in to help you if you're wanting to learn how to sell your art, or maybe do paint parties, like all that kind of stuff. So your monthly content is 3 new paintings with me, and then a guest artist or speaker. And then in addition to that, we have a brand new membership site, which I'm super excited about, because we have over 60 tutorials in there for you to choose from. I've got my list here so I don't tell you the numbers wrong. We have over 60 painting tutorials in there, so that's over $2,300 value. We have 16 live Q&As, and these are live Q&As that I did inside of my group to help answer people's questions. Those are all recorded and in there, and they're full of valuable information. And I know some of the Tribe Sisters can speak to that in here because they went back and watched them for a challenge that I did, and they learned a ton. We have 11 technique videos in there. I have bonus video tutorials. We have templates. So all of this is accessible through our new membership site, and you'll have a login and password, and it's beautiful. And it's all organized by section, and you can just scroll down, and maybe you want to paint flowers. It's like sectioned off by florals, or maybe you want to paint animals. I have an animal series that is a cow, a pig, and a rooster. So, or landscapes. So it just kind of gives you an idea of what is in there. And then the best part is that we have our Facebook community. So we have about 600 women in this private Facebook group that's just for Inner Tribe members. And this has really, for me, and I think for the ladies too, been the best part of the membership is building these relationships with other like-minded women like yourselves. And it's where you get to share your work, you get to cheer each other on. And I know some of you who just did the Spring Truck Challenge with me, you saw a little bit of that inside of that group, how encouraging it is. And so many of the women have reached out to me, and I think Helen is on here, she's one of them, and just said how much it's helped her self-confidence and just made her feel like she had a place to belong. So the community aspect of it is so important. We call ourselves Tribe Sisters, so if you see people hashtagging that in the comments, that's what that means. But that is, to me, the best part of the membership is the community aspect of it. Because yes, you are going to learn to paint, but you are going to find that you love it and you end up staying because of these relationships that you're going to build with these women. And it's so much more fun to paint with a group of friends than it is to paint by yourself because they share the same likes as you. So super fun. All right, I'm going to hold this up and just kind of show you up close. So you can kind of see what the texture's starting to look like. So now on this other side, we could leave it like this, just do it with a brush. This is how I had it in the original. I'm going to flip this over so it makes it a little easier for me to paint this side. You're filling the whole canvas. Someone asked how far down we're going. We're filling the whole canvas. Hey, Miss Shallie. Shallie is a Tribe Sister, and you know, she helps teach kids how to paint. She has taken some of the paintings that we have in the group and taken them to a retirement center and shared those pictures with us, and it's so neat to see what art can do in other people's lives. And by her learning these classes and then sharing that with others, it's just this amazing ripple effect that happens, all because of art. So I love that. We have women who never painted before, like Linda. Stuart, I don't know if you're on here yet, but she had never painted, and now she's teaching paint parties. And she has this whole side business moving into retirement that she never thought she was going to have. So, and then in addition to that, she lives in a small town where they did not have a lot to offer the children in her community for arts. And she's been able to fill that need in this community. Like, it's literally changing people's lives. And, we live in a stressful time right now. There's a lot going on in the news every single day. And sometimes it's nice to focus on something positive and kind of leave the world behind for a little bit. And that's really what my passion is, and my heart for this tribe is just to bring joy to people and happiness, and a place where they can learn and grow and then share that with others. So it's just a really, really amazing part of the entire process. All right, so I'm going to show you how I'm going to change this up with a palette knife really quick. I'm going to get a little bit thicker paint. Oh, that's awesome. Helen said she hadn't painted. I couldn't remember that. She hadn't painted in over 40 years. And then she joined the tribe a few months ago and got the paintbrushes back in her hand. Yes, you can join. That would probably help if I told you guys how you can join, right? So let me tell you, the cost is $47 a month or $470 for the year, and you get 2 months for free. So if you do the year, that is a year contract, so you can't cancel throughout that year. If you do the monthly, you can cancel at any time. You just can't rejoin until we open the doors again, which would be fall. So it's $47 a month or $470 for the year. Okay, palette knife. Also, you have to know, if you paint with me, I talk to you a lot while I'm painting, so it's not just strictly a lesson. It's kind of us just hanging out together while we're painting. So if the talking drives you crazy, then the tribe is probably not for you. So what I'm doing right now, I've already got this wet where I have it, and I'm grabbing just a little bit more with my palette knife. So I'm kind of scooping this up on the back side of my palette knife and just scraping in different directions. That makes me happy. And I love hearing your guys' success stories. We share all of our successes inside the group, and then we lift each other up when we're struggling or need help in an area. All right, so I'm gonna start showing this to you guys. And this is how quick palette knife is. That's really all I needed to do. But hopefully you guys can see the difference in the texture. See how it's got those little scrapes? Make sure you guys can see that. Can you tell the difference? I know I've got a little bit of the glare from the ring light. Beth, I started with a turquoise, and it's called Citron. It's kind of like a limey yellow green. Teresa, you don't have to have a palette knife. I just wanted to show like an extra technique that if you did have one, how it would make it look a little different. Can you guys see the difference though? Which one do you like better? Which side? Try to get it to where it's not a glare. Do you like the palette knife scraped side or just the paintbrush? All right, so we're gonna move on to our round. So I am getting my dark green and some of my dark blue here, and I'm gonna start showing you guys how we're gonna do the grass, and I'm switching to my round brush that is like rotating and falling apart right now. Oh, that's a good question, Jessie. Yes, so, and I forgot to mention that. This is the, I knew I was gonna print something off because I knew I'd forget something. Hang on, I don't have it on here. Yes, if you teach paint parties, you can join my inner tribe, and it gives you permission and the rights to my paintings to teach at your local paint nights. So that is a game changer if you have a business and you're struggling coming up with new paintings to offer your clients each month. You do have access to that. The only stipulation is you are not allowed to copy what I do and then reteach it online. You can teach it at your local paint parties though. Rita asked if I have a special recommendation for the easel. That was actually my mom's when she was in college. She was an artist also, and then she handed it down to me, and I painted it teal. Any standing easel, I don't have a specific recommendation on one. That one is from the 70s, so, and it works great. All right, so I'm going to kind of do this to the side to show you. And I'm gonna get dark green and some of my dark blue on there at the same time. This is a little bit difficult to show you with it laying flat, but can you guys see what I'm doing okay? All right, so my grass, we'll just call it grass, comes probably about 4 or 5 inches up. So I'm just gonna start at the bottom, and you're gonna keep redipping your paint, okay? So it's going to be pretty heavy at the bottom. You could even start out, like here's a little cheat you can do if you don't want your grass to look sparse. You could come across the bottom and make it really thick down here. Can you guys see that okay, what I'm doing? So I'm going thick across the bottom, and then when I get higher up, it's going to be a little bit more wispy. And I'll show you, like I do like kind of like this flicking hand motion with it. So and you don't have to start at the bottom. So I can start like right here and just pull it back down into that. And I want the grass to go different directions. And I'm getting a lot of paint on there. So we talked about paint earlier. This is definitely one of those times where you want to make sure you have plenty of paint on your brush, because if you don't, the brush strokes are not going to look like you want them to. So I'm going to hold that up a little bit closer so you can see that. Yeah, mine is a number 2 round, and I'm using a dark green and a dark blue. What do you guys think of the grass so far? Does that make sense how I'm doing it? And you're doing like these kind of wispy. When you're going up, let me kind of explain this. When you're going up like this, see how I'm like pulling away from the canvas? That's how it gives it that tapered look. So when I'm doing this, you can kind of see these colors. I'm kind of bouncing back and forth between the dark green and the dark blue, just to have some variation in there. And then if you mix these colors together, you get another shade. So you get a whole new color of like a bluish green. So we're just going to put these side by side so you can kind of, this easel's in my way. You can kind of see what that's starting to look like there. So simple steps to get going. And don't stress too much about what the tops of your grass looks like, because a lot of it's going to be covered with the red flowers. All right, so that's it for our grass. You could always go back and add more if you wanted to. And I even had areas where it was wet here and it blended. And I just leave that because it just adds some interest to the painting. I do not put any kind of spray or top coat on them because they're just hung in my house. All right, let me get my red. This one's clogged. Hang on just a second. Don't mind me in my PJs. And I'm going to add some purple too. I love mixing like reds and purples and blues together because you get all kinds of different shades of colors. All right, we're gonna start adding the red flowers on. So I'm gonna hold this up so you guys can see these just a little bit, because I want you to notice that they're just big, messy blobs of red paint, okay? So don't take yourself too seriously on this part. This is abstract. It's not supposed to be perfect. There's no such thing as perfect in art. And I'm really gonna load my brush up, okay? So I got a lot of paint on there. And I'm just gonna start we'll start on the right-hand side over here. And I am gonna overlap my grass a little. And I'm just gonna push down and just kind of smush it around. And they're all gonna be different sizes. So I'm gonna have some small, some big. Again, I'm painting this upside down. I'm gonna turn it to the side just so I don't make a complete mess of it. But basically what the shape is gonna be here is just kind of thicker and fatter towards the bottom. These can overlap. Don't feel like they all have to be separated. Try not to think about it too much because it ends up looking like a pattern. So you wanna just kind of move quickly. And then as you get higher, I'm dripping a little paint there. So we just take those happy little accidents and add another little dot. Can you guys see if I turn it like that? I may have to stand up to paint. And again, I'm letting them overlap some, but see how the higher up I go, they're a little bit more clustered together, and they're gonna start tapering to a point. I want this a little bit wider at the bottom. And you can decide if you want to come back and put more red on later. You'll see, and I'm going to lift this up and show you that it'll start looking a little, you'll see a little bit of that color showing behind. But I kind of like the way it looks because it looks like two different shades of red. So you've got like a darker and then the brighter red where the paint is thicker. So that's kind of how, hold that up, that's kind of how that shape is going to go. And then we're just going to start going across the board, the canvas, and just continue these. And then you can take a little bit of your, this is why I said I like doing, like if I mix some purple and red together, I kind of get like a plum color. You could add some of that in there. I want you to get creative with it and have fun. Play with your colors and see what you like. See, can you see from that angle just how much different? Just a slightly different little color, but it adds just a little bit to it. So I'm pushing heavier down here. They're bigger blobs. And then as I go up towards the top, they're like little dots. And you can have some kind of curve. You can have some go straight up. You can do the same thing and add maybe a little bit of blue. Maybe dot some inside of our red. And I kept the blue more towards the bottom. Could add maybe a few here and there towards the top. All right, I'm gonna keep going. Can you guys see if I paint? Maybe if I do this. If I don't knock my line over. I know the angle is not perfect, but we already taught you one angled straight on, so I'm just going to kind of keep going across here. And they're pretty clustered together, so like if you're looking, they're pretty clustered together all right here, and then they really start separating just for that upper section. So again, I'm just really loading up my paint, pushing down. I think it's almost easier for me to paint upside down. We're gonna try it this way. I'm kind of using the iPad as my mirror, so I'm painting in reflection. How's that looking? I'm gonna grab some of my purple and red. I'm just using a number 2 round for the flowers. I really love, like, if you have purple and red, that's really making like a pretty plum color mixed in there. And you could do something completely different than this too. Maybe you want to have a bunch of different colors all together. Do I have that Paris one in here? Like, I have one where I have this style of flowers, but there's some pink, there's some purple, there's some yellow. So you could totally change it up. I have so many paintings, they don't all fit. They don't all fit in my office. You could use a filbert brush if you wanted. It's depending on the size of it, it's going to be hard to get those small brush strokes at the top if you're using a filbert. That's where a round kind of comes in handy. And a round is flexible because you can push down on it and make fatter brush strokes with it. And then you can not put down a lot of pressure and get smaller. So learning about the pressure that you're pushing down is really important too, because if I push down really hard, it makes a big blob, right? And you see those bristles like literally pushing down. And then with the same brush, I can create these small brush strokes because I'm barely pushing down, barely putting any pressure on, and my bristles are hardly moving. And each one is going to be different. Don't feel like they all have to look identical. In fact, if they do, that's going to be not as pretty to look at. You want them to have some difference, contrast. Don't be afraid to mix your colors. Color mixing is so fun. We have a whole lesson on color mixing inside of the group. And I try to get my women used to this too, to not always be worried about the specific colors I have out of the bottles, because mixing paint is one of the funnest parts of being creative. And you get to make your own colors, and then it's uniquely yours. So it's different than everybody else's, and it's just fun. And you can use, there's a color mixing guide. I've done a lesson on that. You can use where, let's say you want this color, but you can't find it. On this color mixing guide, you can find this color similar, and then it will tell you what colors make this color. Does that make sense? But again, it doesn't need to be exact. I just like to hold these up so you can kind of compare to the original. So this is the one we're doing tonight. This is the original. So these are, I think these are a little more clustered together, so I could go back and add some red in there. But what I do like about the one I'm doing tonight is the extra colors I put in here. Which one do you guys like better? You like the new one or the original? Some are saying new. Most of you are saying new. Some say both. But this is what makes it fun, right? It's not really that fun if they're all exactly the same. I don't want a photocopy of what I've already done. All right, I'm going to flip this over for a second, and you guys have seen me show you how to do it, so I'm going to keep painting so I can see it, and then it's also going to allow me to answer some of your questions while I'm painting as well. Mary said, what kind of flowers? I have no idea. Flowers that I made up in my head. They're just abstract. They're wildflowers. Let's see. Is that all I needed? I think I just needed more red. Now you guys will see how much faster I can do this with it facing me. And then I can show you, I think really the only other thing we have left to do is just add, I did some little yellow dots that I added in, and I'll show you guys how to do those. And you guys, if you are painting along with me, come back afterwards. You can add a photo in the comments of this Facebook Live. So it'll be really cool when we're looking through the comments and we can see everyone's pictures from their paintings tonight. Yes, red salvia, that's a good comparison. I would say they look a lot like that. Kathy said she has some really high quality brushes and cheaper, different hair. Does it matter what I use? Can I use both? I recommend only using synthetic bristles. I don't like natural ones. I don't feel like they hold the shape as well. I don't feel like they hold paint as well. So I like synthetic bristles. They can be white, they can be tan, it doesn't matter what color. Debbie said, do I have any stems? No, I don't. You could add stems if you wanted. The great thing about art, you can add whatever you want to. I just like how messy they are. And what I want you guys to get out of this is not worrying so much about whether it's perfect or if it looks like mine. I want you to enjoy the process. I want you to enjoy the process of being creative and exploring and learning something new, and finding a passion for something. I know for a lot of people, this has helped with their anxiety and depression. It's helped with mine. If you're new to following me, you know, that is something that I have struggled with my entire life, and painting is always something that's helped calm me down. And you know, like even talking to my therapist about it, she's like, no, it's like, really, there's art therapy. Like, it is good for the mind. It's good for the soul. It helps reset you, recenter you, and it allows you to kind of take a breath away from the world and get lost in the painting. And to me, that's the best part. When you're just lost in the painting and you're just creative and you're just having fun, like, don't be so hard on yourself. We're all so hard on ourselves all the time. Like, I want this to be fun for you. I want you to be able to breathe. I want you to be able to relax. And you're going to find that, like, inside the tribe, the sisters, the tribe sisters in there are going to make you feel that way even more, which is a huge blessing, is just, you know, surrounding yourself with healthy, like-minded women who feel the same things you're feeling, believe the same things you believe. And I am a very, very firm believer that you are who you surround yourself with. So you want to surround yourself with people who are going to lift you up. And if you don't have that in your life, that's what this group is. And I'm very, very protective of this group of ladies. And there is a zero tolerance policy for negativity. It does not belong in my group. It does not belong with painting. There's just no reason for it. If you have a customer service issue, by all means, we will take care of it, but that's done via email. It's not for the group, because negativity breeds negativity. And that is not what the group is about. It's just about you guys finding joy and, you know, peace in painting. And Dee Dee, I don't know if Dee Dee is on here, but she was so sweet, and I will be sharing her video later this week. And I will also be, if you guys are on the fence and you're just not sure, several of my tribe sisters are going to be doing interviews with me this week and sharing their stories. But Dee Dee sent me a video the other day, and she found me, and she started with buying an individual tutorial. They bought 2 of them because they didn't know if they were going to like it. You know, the tribe wasn't open yet, so that was, you know, an option they had. And correct me if I'm wrong, Dee Dee, but I remember thinking our daughters were about the same age. I want to say her daughter was 8 or 9, and she was really, really struggling with anxiety at school and having a hard time focusing. And so her mom, she bought these painting tutorials, and they did them together. And she said it's going to make me cry. She said it completely changed her daughter. Like, it changed her life. She found she was feeling a lot of like low self-esteem. And that just breaks my heart at that young of an age. But she was really struggling. And when they started painting together, she was so proud of herself. And so many of you have told me that you've gained so much self-confidence, and that is huge. But she was so proud of herself, and she loved doing it, and she was so happy when she was doing it. And her mom said she just started noticing the anxiety and the tendencies, they started going away. And like, this was her therapy. And it's given her self-worth to be proud of something she created. And I say it all the time, so you probably are already going to know what I say, but some of you out there watching are saying, this all sounds great, but I don't have a creative bone in my body. And I don't believe that. And I believe that we're created in the image of God, and He is the original creator. Therefore, we all are creative. Sometimes we just need help pulling that out. And that's my goal. That's what I do inside of this group, is help you find that side of yourself that you didn't even know that you had. And, you know, people ask me all the time, well, like, can I join if I've never painted before? Like, I don't even know what I'm doing. 95% of the women inside my tribe had never painted before. And now they're painting like crazy. They're selling it on Etsy. They're teaching paint parties, or they're just happy and they're just doing it and they're proud of themselves. You don't have to turn it into a business. But anyone can do this. And I break it down into super simple, easy to follow steps for you guys, because I don't want anyone to be scared of it. This is too much fun for you to let fear stop you from doing it. And I love, love, love seeing the stories and hearing the stories of everything that painting has done for women inside of the tribe. I mean, it just makes my heart so, so happy that I can help facilitate that I have been an artist my entire life. My mom was, my grandpa was, and for years I struggled with what purpose God had for me. And I went back to school at one time to finish my degree in graphic design because I thought there's no way I could ever make a living at painting. And I did that, and I almost finished my degree in graphic design when I started teaching paint parties. And paint parties took over my life and completely changed. And then 2 years ago, I started teaching online. And God has opened so many doors for me and given me this platform to share with you guys that I don't ever take that for granted. And I give Him all the glory for that He has allowed me the opportunity where I used to be able to reach a room of 40 women at a time. And now, right now, there are 550 of you on here with me that I'm able to share this with, and hopefully kick you out of your comfort zone and get you painting, because I want you to see what it can do for you. So yeah, got on a little bit of a tangent there. while I'm painting, but it's so, so important. And I want you guys to realize that it's so much more than just about painting. It's about, I call it like painting therapy. It's about what it can do for you and how it can change your life. And some of you right now are probably saying, just keep painting and stop talking so much. But I told you guys, I'm a talker. I do the same thing when I'm teaching you inside the tribe. You guys are basically just hanging out with me in the morning while I'm at home drinking my coffee, and you're painting along with me. But that's what I think is so fun about it. Thank you so much, Gloria. All right, how are we looking? I was like painting, not really even paying attention to what I was doing because I was talking. So I don't really know. Is it good? Is it looking good? Thank you very much, Vita. And see, God knows that about my personality too. He knows I like to talk. He gave me a way to talk all the time. And I'm sure some of my family is very thankful for that. They're not the only ones who have to listen to me. Hey, Miss Tribe Sister Lisa. All right, we gotta get some smaller dots up here. And we're almost done. Hold on, Jesse, I wanted to go back and read your comment. Or Jane, is that Jane? Jane said, sometimes we think we can't make money and paint, especially if we share our faith. You know what? So I'm going to tell you guys a little story. And I can tell you because that person's no longer allowed on my page because she was not very kind. So part of having a public platform and part of me teaching live weekly and sharing with you guys is criticism. And it's not always easy at all. And sometimes there are just some really mean people that make me cry because they're just not kind. And I had a woman message me yelling at me because I was sharing my faith. And she said, I went to check my email today and the first thing I saw was a devotional from you. And she said, that's not what I want to learn from you. If I wanted to learn about a devotional, then I would look for that. She said, I want to learn painting from you. I don't want to hear about your faith. And I was like, all right, sorry. You're going to, because the two go hand in hand. I wouldn't be where I was without him. I can't live my day-to-day life without him. So taking God out of what I do and out of my art is not possible. I can't do it. And I have no desire to do it. I will continue to share his love and his word with as many people as he allows me to. And so I wrote her back and I said, I'm sorry you feel that way. My faith is a part of what I believe. And, you know, if you don't like that about me, you don't have to follow me. You can unsubscribe from my email list and you'll never hear from me again. And she wrote me back again and yelled at me some more and told me how selfish I was that I would do that and how ridiculous and how I'm going to fail. I'm going to fail as a business owner because I talk about my faith. And I was like, well, no, I'm not. Because God's bigger than anything you have to say to me. And his plans are way higher than my plans. And I know he's got my back. And I know that I'm doing what he's called me to do, so I'm good. And I told her, best of luck. Go search YouTube. You're going to find someone that's a better fit for you. And then I unsubscribed her from my list and I banned her from my page. And I could have let that tear me down. And some days I would have. Some days that would have just totally wrecked me. And it happened on a really bad week too, where everything felt like it was piling on. And I stopped and I took it to him. And I knew that he would use a moment, this moment, where I shared that story with you guys. And what she meant for evil, he turned into good. And it made me stand taller and stronger in my faith. And it made me not scared of it anymore. Because there's always going to be people who come against us. There's always going to be people who disagree with us. And that's okay. They can go somewhere else. But I'm going to talk about Jesus. Almost done. I'm a little crooked now. Okay, Corey's gonna get us a clamp. Not today, Satan is right. And watch you guys fall right out of this thing again before he even gets back here. Stop sliding. This is the joy of teaching live. So hopefully we're good. Thank you guys for all the encouragement and the love and the comments. And I am going to go back and read them. If this moves again, Corey's trying to clamp this down so my phone doesn't shoot out and hopefully it doesn't come flying at me. Are you going to hold it while you're doing it?
Of course. Is that the right angle?
Yeah, I think that's good. We're good. I think. Yay.
That's scary.
Oh, Sandra, I'm sorry to hear that you are unhappy and lonesome right now, but you are definitely welcome here in this environment. I don't believe in coincidences either. I think he has a reason for all of it. Tiffany said, best ride I've had today. I'd like to go back and watch the replay of when that happens, what my face looked like as. Okay. I'm a little crooked.
This is too heavy.
Okay, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. C-clamp is too heavy. Raquel said, at least I didn't spill my wine over my painting. This is right. That's a win. Because I don't know if you knew this. If you took the Spring Chapel with me, you did. This is dark now. Am I dark to you guys? Why am I dark? Maybe I'm really not. I've spilled coffee on my paintings, and I spilled an entire cup of paint water on my chapel while I was teaching it live in the group. But then it turned into a really good learning lesson for the group because they got to see me fix a painting after spilling an entire cup of paint water on it. And we made it work. And now if you looked at that painting, you'd never know. It scared you. Scared me too. It was loud. It popped when it did it. Okay, it looks good. I don't know. Maybe my phone's, hopefully my phone's not dying. All right, we're going to hurry. We're going to hurry. Thank you, girls. All right. Let me know before we wrap up here if you guys have any other questions for me about the tribe, about what it entails. And I can say sometimes you're going to get me going on a tangent in the middle of my paintings. That does happen. Thank you, Diane. You never know what's going to happen on a Facebook Live. Sandy said, are your free paintings open to non-member? The free paintings, I have like a couple free lessons like that you can have emailed to you, but I have like, like full lessons like the Winter Chapel or the Dandelions. But then like if I share like techniques and stuff on my Facebook page, those are shared into our free Facebook group. But they're usually just techniques or quick little lessons and stuff like that. You can visit my YouTube channel and you can see more of those as well. So I know some of you were saying you couldn't join right now, and I understand because sometimes you just, can't. So you can still learn from me. They're just it's not gonna be to the same degree as what is inside the membership with the new paintings and all the other stuff. This is way too big. I made these way too big. Let's stagger some small ones back down in here. This one's just going off the top of the canvas. Is that better, Patricia? Yes, you can catch this on a replay. And if the comments are in your way, you can swipe the comments over and then you can see it. I almost feel weird when I'm not talking to you guys. Like I get focused in painting and then I'm like, I need to say something. Shah said, I missed the flowers with the truck. Is it available to buy? It's not available right now. It will be available in April. We have to edit the videos, get them uploaded, like all that kind of stuff before we can put it up for sale again. There's just a little process to it. Kathy said, how do I hang the canvas? So I have, the lazy way of doing it is when I really just want something hung on the wall, I put a thumbtack in and I just hang it. These are so light. You can just hang it on a thumbtack. And then you can just put a nail. And then I shared this inside, I think it was the Spring Chapel group that I did. I can't remember if I made a blog post about that. If not, I should. My trick for when you want to hang one and you want it to have a frame, you don't even have to like lock it into the frame. I put a nail on the wall, hang the canvas on the wall, and then pop an open back frame over top of my canvas and it just stays put. No equipment needed other than a hammer to put a nail in the wall. How is this looking? I think this needs to go off the page a little bit. Add some of our little blue dots down in here. What do you guys think? And if you join later, if you are joining tonight, comment, let me know you did. I think I just saw someone comment. And I'm going to come back and check those comments out. But make sure if you don't immediately get the email, it does come immediately. Okay, so like within 5 minutes. If you don't see it after 5 minutes, make sure you check your junk, spam, promotions folder, all that stuff. And then if you still don't see it, you can reach out to our email, which is info@thesocialeaselonlinepaintstudio.com, and we will resend you them. But if you finished and you finished checkout, saw the thank you page, then you are signed up. Don't sign up again just because you don't see an email, because a lot of times they're going to the junk and spam folders. Christy, I am using a round right now. So the last thing, I just broke my paintbrush. How do you use the paint glitter? So once it's dry, I'll show you what I use as my favorite glitter. Nope, that's not it. Okay. This is my favorite glitter to use. It's called Craft Glitters Crystal. So once everything's dry, if you wanted to add glitter to it, it dries clear other than the sparkles. And you can add glitter to anything. This is what it looks like on, hopefully you can see that. Can you see the little bit of glitter there? I don't know if the light's catching it or not. And I added it in the bird's wings. But it works really, really good to add glitter to your paintings if you want to. I just like that little pop of contrast. What do you guys think? Do you like the yellow? I'm gonna prop that up. This is, she asked what do I use for my tablecloths. These are from Sam's. I love them. It's what I use at my paint nights because they have a paper cover and then it's plastic underneath so it protects the spills. Thank you guys so much for joining me for the paint party tonight. I'm super thrilled to have you join Tribe. If you do, I will be here for the next 4 days. You're gonna see a lot of me and probably be bored of me because I'm gonna be on live a lot from now until Thursday to make sure I'm answering all your questions. We're gonna have some interviews with some of our Tribe sisters where you're gonna get to hear their stories, which are amazing. And I absolutely love sharing them. So that's gonna be Tuesday and Thursday. And if you happen to be friends with some of my other creative friends, you can probably catch me over on their page too. So I know I'm gonna visit Deco Exchange with Damon Oates, Heidi Easley's Texas Art and Soul, Casey Hope's Whatever Letter. I'll be around. I'll be around. But just send us a message on here. If you have any questions, it will give you links and then refer you to our direct email so we can take care of you. So everyone have an awesome night. Thank you again for being so supportive tonight and letting me ramble to you guys. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.